Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, thank you so much for subscribing. So in today's video, going through a couple of comments on my page that probably I missed and did not respond. Some I've responded to, but some I missed and did not respond. So in this video, I'm just going to be answering them to the best of my knowledge. So can I apply for HCPC with a diploma in biomedical science? Applying for HCPC directly with a diploma in biomedical science might not be possible. A diploma is basically just foundational skill. There's also like the part of practical trainings in the lab. I don't know how much of a training you have, but just with a diploma in biomedical science, I think you have to first go through the IBMS route, maybe do a top-up module or like further training, and then you might be able to apply directly for the HCPC route. It's something you should also look into, like look for more findings on. But when HCPC are evaluating you, they don't just evaluate your theoretical skill, they also want to see that you have the practical skills, like you've worked in the lab, you've worked with samples, you know, things like that. So yes, I hope that answers your question. Hello, my sister has a bachelor's in microbiology and a master's in microbiology from India. What's the procedure for her to get the license? They mentioned something about training. What is it? I'm guessing because she has a degree, both first degree and a second degree is both in microbiology. So you have to understand that biomedical science is not just microbiology. There are 4 broad specialties basically in biomedical science. So microbiology is just like one part of biomedical science. So if they're saying she has to do further training, it means she has to go through the IBMS route first, get a degree assessed, and then the IBMS will actually tell her what courses or what extra training they will want her to do to be able to match up the standard of the UK biomedical science. And this might involve like also looking into other specialties, because it's obviously she did microbiology. They might want you to do a couple of top-up modules also to cover hematology, chemical pathology, histopathology, because it's not just about microbiology. Medical microbiology is just one part of biomedical science. So another person says, hi Alice, I've done a Bachelor of Technology in Biotechnology. I don't know what Bachelor of Technology is, but let's continue. From India. And I've done an MSc Biomedical and Molecular Science Research from the UK. Which route should I take? Also, I have the module descriptors from my bachelor's, but they don't stamp it. It's on the letterhead already, so can that be used? So I think if your course, I'm going to answer the second question first. So if your course information form is already on a letterhead from your school, I think it will be accepted. I realized upon further research that will actually not be accepted. So for you to be able to submit a course information form, your course information form must have all the requirements stated on this screenshot from the HCPC website. So unfortunately, a course information form on a letterhead will not be acceptable. Now, in terms of the route, I do still believe you're going to still have to go through the IBMS route just to be safe, because from your bachelor's and your master's, you did not outrightly do biomedical science. And as much as there are going to be aspects of, you know, what you did that are actually also relevant to biomedical science, they need to be sure that you know the basic core, like you have an entire full coverage of the biomedical science career. So most likely I think the route you need to take first, you're still going to do the international route, but you're going to have to be IBMS assessed first and get a certificate of competency from IBMS before you can go on to the HCPC route for registration. So Alice, I just came across your video and it's exactly what I was looking for. Thank you so much. I'm a physician with no lab experience. Will I learn lab skills during this master's program? If you're doing an MSc Biomedical Science, which I hope you're already doing, or if you're in the process of doing it already, for a physician, I think you're going to really get insight into like the lab procedures. You might not get like basic, simple ones, but I think you're going to get like the principle. You're going to get a overall sense of principle and how the lab procedure works. So as a physician or as a clinician, you're kind of working on the front end. You're going to see insight into like the back end of biomedical science. So yes, I do think you get a level of lab skills from doing a master's in biomedical science, also dependent on like whatever school you choose to go to. This question says, hi Alice, please, I rushed into the registration of HCPC with no proper knowledge. How can I start over again to register newly? How did I miss this question? Sorry that I missed this question. If you did the registration process, I want to believe the outcome you got was maybe a rejection and you were not registered. I think it's just going through the process again, but unfortunately the scrutiny fee is not refundable, except they actually did ask you that, oh, they've seen inconsistency in your application and they asked you to provide further document. I think that's like ground for you to be able to do the application process, like, oh, maybe rectify whatever error you've made regarding your document. The scrutiny fee for HCPC is non-refundable and it doesn't apply to a new application. That is why we always advise people, if you're going to be doing the application, please do your proper research. Like, that money is a lot to pay. Now it's 678 pounds, but before it was 500 and something. But I think whether you're in the UK or if you're in another country, I think it's obviously it's way larger, obviously, in terms of conversion. If you're not in the UK, it's still a lot of money, you know, to put into something. So if you're putting that volume or that large sum of money into something, I think make sure you prepare properly, read as much as you can. See, before you pay that final money, be sure that your application is rock solid. I'm so sorry about the first one that did not work out. I hope the next one work out, or I hope by now you've gone through the process and you're successfully registered with HCPC now. So this person says, "Hi Alice, in a situation where I have an undergraduate degree in biochemistry and over a year's lab work experience," so basically the lab work experience specifically in a quality control or regulatory lab, will the work experience count towards IBMS assessment, or am I better off going for a master's program? The lab experience is not in routine lab, first and foremost, so it will not count. During a master's program that is IBMS accredited, will give you more points by maybe basically reducing the top-up modules you might have to do. Your lab experience, not just because of the duration, but just because it's not in routine lab stuff, it's not like in the basic stuff. So quality control is great, it's very specialized too, also if you're going to be a quality officer or something. So routine biomedical science work, they want you to know the cost of. Once you know the cost of, then you know quality applies alongside. So I'm just going through it, and I realized a couple of the questions are really very same or very similar in terms of, you know, especially people who are science graduates. So one thing I just want to clarify, I've always seen arguments about it when people are making the argument of maybe, oh, I did the microbiology, they are not allowing me to work in the lab, we spent the same years with biomedical science. I need for you to understand that biomedical science is very wide. So it's not just about microbiology. There's the medical microbiology, there's hematology, there's chemical pathology, and there's also histopathology. So you saying, I've seen a lot of people say, oh, I did microbiology, and then they don't allow us to work in the lab. If you are going to have a surgery done on yourself, you will not want a general doctor, a GP, to actually work on you. You want somebody who's specialized in that environment. So GP just has, oh, general knowledge, does not have specialized knowledge. Being a biomedical scientist means you have specialized knowledge. So even, yes, we're doing microbiology, you might not, you know, every other form of microbiology, but for us, we actually learn organisms that are of clinical significance to humans. We don't learn just all the organisms. See, now if you are interested in working in the lab, I think you should be open to learning more, like, oh, what else do I need to do to be able to work in the lab? Not saying, oh, because I did 5 years or 3 years in microbiology, and who told you biomedical science is all about microbiology? I'm very sorry, I've seen the argument a lot. I get that, oh, many people have, you know, you've invested time, you've invested energy in courses, and especially depending on whatever country you come from. Now people know that many people want to, you know, change careers. That's why when you come to being a biomedical scientist, for example, there are multiple routes, because they know that it's not just for people who study biomedical science. There are routes that actually encourage people who did not do biomedical science. So, but anyway, I really hope I actually was able to shed light on a couple of questions for you. So if you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the comment section down below, and I'll be able to answer them, or, you know, somebody else might just be able to answer them. So